last year I decided I finally wanted to start writing a diary. When I say diary, I don't mean like a 30-minute entry that's like, dear diary, today I da da da. I just mean a basic diary where I'm kind of keeping memories alive. And this is something that my mum actually did. She probably started doing it only when she had me. I think she was probably around the age of 30 when she started doing this, but I find it so amazing that she has just diaries from every single year of her life. So what, nearly like 30 years worth of diaries. Wow, that's crazy. And she used to write in the eyes of me and my sister, or kind of just like a lot about me and my sister and how we were feeling at the time, and like things that went on in our lives, and just lots of stuff like that. Important political events, you know, things going on in the world. And I just find it really amazing to be able to look back on those, and I don't know, it's just like keeps experiences and memories alive, doesn't it? And I was really worried that I was gonna have all these amazing memories over the next few years. I mean, not just a few years, obviously, hopefully like the rest of my life. And I'm just not gonna remember any of them. I know we do have a lot of photos, but a lot of those are just stuck on my camera roll. And I just thought it'd be really nice to actually write down memories. So the way I've been doing it is just writing down. That's actually probably one of my biggest entries. I don't really write that kind of length of thing down very often. I actually just write down when something's kind of happened in that day, or I've done something. So that was like 2 Fridays ago, went to this place for my birthday with my friends for an early celebration. It was actually my friend's birthday the next day, and just write vaguely what we did. But like my entry on the 28th of June, for example, is like, found out that my knee operation's been delayed to October earliest, and talking about something else really personal with my family. So it's kind of just anything that's slightly memorable. And I have some days where I don't write anything down. I don't use it for work stuff, just because I very much wanted it to be like a personal diary. But I've been really enjoying doing it, and it's really interesting to even be able to look back at January, when we went straight into lockdown pretty much after Christmas, and kind of see what was going on, because it wasn't a lot. Just like any announcements that were made, and you know, the first thing we did out of lockdown and things. I'm just looking at my January to April entries. It's not non-existent, it's just so boring. Like everything was so boring. But it's interesting to look back and see that. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. And then the other thing that I've been trying to write down is, I mentioned before on my YouTube channel, but I do speak about it quite a lot over on my Instagram stories, is that I volunteer with St Mungo's, which is a charity that I feel deeply passionate about, and I've been working with them over the last year and a bit, maybe more like year and a half now, and I absolutely love them. I think they're the most amazing charity. And when I volunteer with them, there are a lot of experiences that I have there that are very different from my normal life, and I just want to be able to remember those as well. And I know obviously you can't just go and share stories and names of people that you are working with. Obviously there's a certain amount of confidentiality, but I don't write names down, and I just write basic experiences down. So like, dealt with this client today, they were like this, or I had to do this with them. And I've done one for my outreach shift that I did last week, and just written down a few entries, because I think it's also really important to remember those sorts of things as well. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you on a Tuesday morning while I'm in isolation. So I'm guessing one of the reasons why you clicked on this video in the first place was to learn about fat loss, or to kind of hear my take on fat loss, things you can implement, what's worked for me, how I went through my own fat loss kind of transformation at the start of last year. I'm sure I've got people watching this video that have watched a lot of my videos before and probably know my backstory, but if not, hey and welcome. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a backstory on me, last year I went through my own and my kind of only and first sort of fat loss transformation. In the first UK lockdown, I made some serious progress. I actually ended up, never shared this before, but I actually probably ended up losing 6 kilograms in total, which was an awful lot for me. I'm not exactly where I was at the end of that fat loss journey, since then. I've had a lot of troubles with injury. I'm about to have an operation on my knee, and hopefully I'll be following my own advice that I'm going to mention in this video post knee operation and in my recovery as well. But I had a lot of things that I tried and tested and things that I felt like were really, really successful and really helped my journey. And yeah, let's go through them today. So I thought I'd just quickly touch on what fat loss actually is, because there is in theory a really, really simple equation to fat loss. You pretty much just need to be in a caloric deficit. So if you think about scales like this, and you've got your calories in on this side and calories out on this side. So calories in is everything that you are consuming in a day. So anything that's liquid based, that's not water, that has calories in pretty much. Any food you're eating, all your meals, snacks and everything like that. And then calories out is everything you just generally burn in a day being alive. So, you know, twiddling your thumbs or the energy it takes to make yourself a cup of tea, but also the exercise that you choose to do. So if you go on a run or if you do a gym session or anything like that. If you think about this as a scale, you need to tip the scale that way, so have more calories going out than you have going in to be able to trigger fat loss. Sounds really simple, but why do so many of us have a problem actually doing it? Definitely attempted weight loss at other times in my life and was never really successful at it, and I've always wondered why. When I talk about fat loss or weight loss, as some people do like to call it as well in this video, I just want to emphasize that these are things that have worked for me. I'm not saying these things that are going to work for everybody else. I know a lot of people have different approaches to it. These are very much my opinions and things that have really, really helped me along my journey. One of the things that had always really hindered my progress in the past was that I used to think I was eating in a calorie deficit when I wasn't eating in a calorie deficit. And in fact, I was probably eating at more like maintenance or surplus. It's a lot easier than you think to think that you're eating in a calorie deficit when you actually aren't. So for example, I had a period of time where I thought I was eating in a calorie deficit because I was eating a healthy breakfast, healthy lunch, and a healthy dinner. But my snacks were a huge bag of popcorn in the evening, like, you know, one of the ones that you want to share with a lot of people. And I'd eat like half a bar of Lindt dark chocolate. And then I'd also have a snack during the day. I might have like a healthy crisps kind of snack during the day, as well as eating a massive post-workout protein smoothie with like banana in there, peanut butter in there, and all sorts of other things, which pretty much equated to having a whole extra meal. So even though I was generally eating really well, it was really easy to not eat towards my goals whilst I was thinking that I was eating towards my goals. So my tip for this would be to actually figure out what you really need to be eating to achieve your fat loss goal. So everybody is different. Everybody will have a different kind of like magic number, which will help to put them in a calorie deficit. And you kind of need to figure out what it is if you don't already have like a really, really good understanding of macronutrients and what kind of calories are in each food. Everyone will have that sort of magic number in terms of calories, which will help to put them into a calorie deficit. And it's just about knowing what that translates to in terms of food and what that looks like for you. The other thing that I used to do wrong is pretty much just undo all of my progress at the weekend. And I still sometimes do that. So I'll have a whole Monday to Thursday, half Friday, but I will eat really on track for my goals. I'll be consistent with everything. I'll be eating lots of nourishing foods. And then Friday night to Sunday, I'll just literally go completely the other way and I'll be eating like 3 takeaways in that time. I'll go out drinking. Pretty much I would have been, and still sometimes am, consuming a huge amount of calories at the weekend, which then prevents me being in that calorie deficit and in turn hinders your fat loss. There's nothing wrong with going out to eat, going out and enjoying yourself. But sometimes you've just got to look at yourself, be realistic and be like, am I actually in a deficit? Or do I think I'm in a deficit because I'm having a few days a week where I'm absolutely smashing it? The whole overarching theme of this, which I'll probably mention a few times throughout this video, is consistency is key. It doesn't mean that you can't have fun at the same time, but it does mean that you have to be like relatively strict with yourself and give yourself some good guidelines. So for example, things that I now do, which I used to be really, really terrible at, is if I go out drinking with friends on a Saturday night, I will let myself do that, have loads of fun, really carefree. And then I used to wake up on a Sunday morning and without fail, I'd order like a massive Deliveroo. I'd end up having like a huge Wagamamas that day, probably order a breakfast sandwich, probably order some like extra treats and snacks during the day, maybe go to the shop and get extra things. All I wanted to do is just eat rubbish. Whereas now I will have healthy stuff in the fridge and try and make myself something like avocado and eggs on toast, or like a healthier kind of fry up, which I'm far more in the mood for on a hangover, but it isn't gonna completely completely sabotage my week and sabotage my progress. Now, I'm not saying it's bad if you do go out and order all that food. I'm just trying to speak realistically for those of you watching this that actually have a fat loss goal that you actually want to achieve. Undoubtedly, the thing that helped me the most was consistency. I did pretty much the same thing, weeks and weeks on end, probably in total about 3 months on end, and I saw such amazing results from it purely because I was being consistent with my kind of guidelines that I'd laid out for myself. I was eating nutritious meals, I wasn't over exercising, I was still giving myself meals that I really loved and looked forward to, and I was exercising regularly. There was nothing crazy that I was doing in that time, I was just being consistent. Consistency isn't having 2 weeks where you absolutely smash it and expect to see results at the end. It's doing the same thing over and over again, and you do really need to make it a lifestyle shift. Unless you've got a very short-term fat loss goal and you're really not bothered about kind of just pinging straight back to the body that you had before you had a fat loss goal, you really want this to be a mindset shift. So my next bit of advice would be to make sure you're eating things that you actually like, you actually want to eat, and not just things that you think you should be eating. I never promote like boring kind of bro style meals, like chicken and rice kind of things. I want to eat like pasta baked and really tasty salads and like avocado and eggs on toast and things that actually excite me. And that is going to be the key to consistency, because you're actually going to feel like you can stick to it. The other thing I wanted to add in here, which is maybe a bit of a strange point because it's not something that works for everybody, but for me, attaching the idea of nourishing my body and eating things that are really nutritionally dense and genuinely good for you attaches another purpose to each meal. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but I don't like the idea of sitting down and eating a meal and being like, this is going to be great for fat loss. I also want to know that my plate of food is great because it provides me with lots of fiber, we've got some micronutrients in there, we've got this in there, we've got that in there, and I just know that this is actually nourishing my body and good for me as well. When you're eating well, you will reap the benefits. I personally know that when I've had a really good, strong week of eating whole foods, nourishing foods, I feel so much better. My skin's better, I've got more energy, I want to work out more, my mindset is better. I find it so much easier to stick to. I now find that if I have a period of time where I don't eat that well, I'm craving getting back to that like healthy lifestyle because I know how good it makes me feel. So obviously eating well is really important whether you have a fat loss goal or you don't have a fat loss goal. But I actually think that gelling those two things together, so eating for fat loss and eating for health, can really help with making this as sustainable for you as possible, and it's sustainability that really gets results. The last thing that I wanted to touch on with nutrition is just making sure you're actually prepared with foods in your house or taking foods to work or uni or whatever, foods that are going to help you to reach your goals. So I love when I open up my fridge and I can see lots of different vegetables, lots of different protein sources, spices, things that I need, but things that are actually going to inspire me to cook healthy meals and stay on track. I always love the quote, failing to prepare is preparing to fail, and I think it's so true. If I don't wake up in the morning and I don't have anything healthy or nutritious for breakfast, I'm probably going to end up ordering something, and it's probably not going to be as great for me, and it's probably not going to help me on my path to achieving my goals. So just make sure you're prepped, whether that's meal prep to go into work or uni with, or just making sure you've got lots of healthy snacks on the go. Being prepared is just so key to keep that consistency, which will help you to smash your goal. So moving on to exercise, there's one thing that I've learned in the last year that was really key to my progress and to being able to lose fat, was that there is no right or wrong way of exercising. You don't have to be following a program. You can just wake up and decide what exercise you fancy doing on that day, and that is completely okay. So there's one thing that I really implemented during the first lockdown, which was so key to my progression, which was walking. Before my kind of fat loss journey, I would honestly hardly move my body in that way. Yes, I was going to the gym, and yes, I was playing squash sometimes, but if a walk was over 10 minutes, I would genuinely consider getting an Uber, which is so crazy to me now. But when lockdown hit, I started trying to hit my 10K steps every day, which before I felt was completely unachievable for me. I worked from home at a desk most of the day, and to do 10K steps, I was like, I'm actually gonna have to go on a walk. Like, I wouldn't just do 10K steps kind of getting to the gym and back. I would have had to actually go on a walk. I now absolutely love walking, and it's become a really big part of my routine. It has so many benefits. I've actually done a whole video on walking and its benefits, so we'll link it up here in the cards. But doing a long walk can count as your daily exercise. You don't have to be going to the gym. You don't have to be doing a specific workout. You can just exercise in ways that make you feel good. Consistency is key, and to be consistent, in my eyes, it needs to be sustainable for you. You could do a long walk on your Monday, you could do a heavy glute session on Tuesday, and you could do a little at-home yoga or HIIT session on Wednesday. Whatever works for you, as long as you are just moving your body consistently and regularly. I don't want to pretend like there aren't some forms of exercise or some types of workouts that will burn more calories than others, unless you're one of those people that can have like tunnel vision on something and can just go to the gym Monday to Friday and follow a workout program and smash every single session. The idea of moving your body in the way that you feel like it on the day, as long as it's around 5 days a week, will benefit you more than trying the strict approach and failing. Like I said at the start, in theory, the equation for fat loss is quite simple, and as long as you are regularly contributing towards those calories out, you are going to help yourself on the way to fat loss. One thing that I forgot to mention when it comes to exercise is I find it really beneficial to schedule exercise into my day. If you've been kind of following me or subscribed to me for a while, you'll know I am so huge on time management and to-do lists. I find them hugely beneficial just for productivity overall. But I think that scheduling in an allotted amount of time in the day where you're gonna do your exercise is really beneficial and will stop you from having that kind of I didn't have time to work out today mindset. I think that setting yourself up for having no excuses is just really beneficial. Yeah, each day get your to-do list written out and slot in your time where you're going to be exercising. Last thing that I wanted to mention in this video that really helped me was actually just trying to enjoy the process, not seeing it as a chore. I always used to see myself as here and my goal of fat loss here, and I was just failing to reach it all the time. I wasn't seeing it as like, oh, this journey could be fun. If you're enjoying the process, it's so much harder to give up on it. And like I said, consistency is key, and you don't want to be giving up halfway to your goal. So I just got a food delivery from Wheezy, which are a new food delivery service in London. Their app is just so like aesthetic and just nice to use. So I actually just ordered some kind of slightly healthier snacks and a few other things I needed. So I just thought I'd go through it with you. But Elliot and I are both isolating at the moment, so we haven't been able to get out and about, and we've been doing a lot of delivery orders because that's obviously the only way of really getting food at the moment. But I ordered some health crisps. We love this brand, this Eat Real brand. Elliot is literally obsessed with lentil chips. It's a very like not him thing to be obsessed with, but he really is. So this pack has like 3 different types on. I thought they'd be good because I feel like I've got no self-control with snacks at the moment. So these are like individual portion sizes. So we've got quinoa chips, lentil chips, and hummus chips. Then some salted popcorn. Salted popcorn, tell me if you agree. Salted popcorn to me is just far superior to sweet popcorn and far superior to salt and sweet. I like salt and sweet, and I do like sweet, but salted is just amazing. I also bought from the same Eat Real brand these veggie straws. I've wanted to try these for ages, but for some reason they remind me so much of like children's food. I don't know why that kind of has stopped me wanting to buy them in the past, but they just look like they're like, do you know what I mean? Like little toddlers veggie straws, but they look like they could be really good. So I thought we'd try these, but I've eyed them up for the last few months and never actually bought them. And then I don't remember ordering these. I'm sure they'll be nice. The same brand again. Apparently we love this brand. Hummus chips in tomato and basil flavour. In fact, I'm just gonna do a taste test of these because I've definitely not tried these ones before. They are really nice. They are really nice actually. I just think I prefer the plain ones because they taste very like a pizza. Quite like a weird flavour for a crisp, but they're good. The other things I bought in this shop I've realised are so bizarre. So I just stocked up on some toilet roll, which I'm not going to show you because we all know what toilet roll looks like. Some frozen sweet corn because they didn't have tinned sweet corn, and I just was really craving sweet corn. Tonight I actually thought I'd make some mini little pizzas using these corn tortillas. These look so cute. I got them from Whole Foods and they're just like a little mini size, and I love pizza with sweet corn on, so I just thought that would go really well together. So actually another really good point about food and things that are gonna help you with sustainability and consistency is making slightly healthier versions of things that you really love. Me and Elliot both really love pizza, but obviously pizza isn't gonna be like the best thing to reach your goals. There's no problem with having pizza once a week or whatever, but it's not gonna be like the key to reaching your goals. Making slightly healthier and lower calorie and I guess more like nutritionally dense versions of foods or meals that you really love can definitely really help. So that's exactly what we're gonna be doing with the pizzas. I'm actually actually gonna make them vegan pizzas and use some vegan grated cheese because I found another really good one the other day. So yeah, dinner tonight is gonna be good. And then the only other things I got was some coffee because I actually really fancy an iced coffee, and I'm gonna make one now. So I'll show you how I make mine. And then some onions in a cute little brown package. So yeah, super random shop, but pretty much the main thing was I really needed coffee beans and we needed some more snacks. Okay guys, so I thought we'd answer some of your questions. So first question we've got, do weekend cheat days and alcohol ruin progress? By the way, a lot of these questions, there are a few people who've asked the same kind of questions, so I'm just gonna pick ones that I can see most frequently. So in short, it really depends on what you're consuming during your cheat day. So what I would do on my personal fat loss journey is every Saturday, pretty much without fail, I'd have like a massive Domino's with cookies. For some reason in lockdown, that was like what I was craving. And I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna have that once a week. And it worked really well for me. It helped me kind of to stay on track during the week. I know a lot of people kind of demonize the word like cheat day or cheat meal, but I don't really see anything wrong with using that terminology unless it's actually really negatively affecting your mindset and relationship with food. So that absolutely didn't hinder my progress. I think if anything, having something each week I could really look forward to actually really helped me to kind of stay on track during my journey. Having said that, if you were to eat a massive Domino's for dinner every Saturday, but you were also eating a greasy fry up for breakfast and then maybe like a massive burger and chips for lunch, that would probably hinder your progress. So yeah, have that meal, there's anything you wanna have, but I would say just eat kind of lighter foods around it and kind of just make sure it's like that one meal, or just be realistic with yourself and just make sure you're not going too overboard. I would say kind of the same with alcohol. There's definitely some science surrounding alcohol and fat loss and how it definitely doesn't benefit you, funnily enough. It doesn't help you along your journey. But I would see if you're going out drinking on a Saturday night, for example, I would try and see that as your kind of like cheat meal and try and just prep your kitchen, your house, your flat or whatever with some healthier food to eat the next day. Because one of the things I would really struggle with going out was I'd wake up the next day and I'd end up pretty much just eating like anything and everything that I wanted and that I was craving the next day. So prep yourself, have some like scrambled eggs and bacon or vegan bacon and nice bread on hand. Make yourself like an okay meal to get back on track the next day and try and see that kind of drinking session as your like night off. So what I would say is do it in moderation, and I think it can actually have some benefits in terms of helping you to stay on track in the long run if you're still enjoying yourself. And like I said yesterday, it's all about enjoying the process. Staple meals and sweet treats to help with fat loss. So there aren't meals or sweet treats that are going to specifically help you with fat loss, but things that helped me along my journey to kind of stay on track and to satisfy cravings. I absolutely love berries. So I'd have like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries pretty much every single day. Sprinkle them with stevia if you've got like a real sweet tooth. A few squares of the Lindt 70% or 75% or even 80% sometimes. Dark chocolate rice cakes. I'd also drink the Options hot chocolate regularly as well. Also, in my eyes, a healthy diet is made up of protein, carbs, and fats. So yeah, I just make sure you're balancing them all very well. Can you intuitively eat and still reach your fitness goals? I would say yes, absolutely. But like I mentioned yesterday, it does require good knowledge of the amount that you should be eating to reach your goals. So I think there's no harm in spending a few weeks tracking your macros. I mean, there's no harm in tracking your macros in general if you do want to and if that really works for you, but you absolutely can intuitively eat. Sometimes I think it's just a bit more like trial and error. So if you aren't seeing results eating the amount that you are eating, then you obviously will need to reduce it a little bit. But unless you've got some like crazy nutrition calculator in your head, it's obviously a little bit trickier to work out exactly what's in every single meal. But yes, it absolutely is possible. That's what I'm trying to do at the moment, so I'll let you know how it goes. What's the best type of training for fat loss? Is HIIT training the best? If so, what's your favorite exercises? Like I said yesterday, there are absolutely forms of exercise which you are going to burn more calories doing than others. Like, there's no way around that. Like, that is just the truth. But I definitely think the best way to exercise is just doing things that you are actually able to stick to. So you might be doing HIIT a few few days a week, but you also might be doing a long walk a few days a week. You might do a few weightlifting sessions. I think mix it up and see how you feel on the day. That's the most sustainable way. And like I said, consistency is key. So just doing things you're actually going to be able to stick to. Having said that, HIIT is amazing. It is a really good method of exercising for fat loss, undoubtedly. And I guess it's just like a form of cardio in a sense. So one of my favorite exercises, I've been injured for a while, so I've not been able to do any of the classic HIIT exercises, so anything where you're like properly jumping. But I used to love jumping lunges. I used to love the jumping lunge variation where you kind of stop in the middle. Like, what are they called? I used to love the variation of jumping lunges where you would like stop in the middle, just very like quick, powerful movements. I used to love jump squats. I used to love that movement where you like bound forward, so do like a big jump forward and you run back to the starting point, jump and move back. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well at all. What else did I used to love? Things I love at the moment though with my injury, I love walkouts. I love walkouts with shoulder taps. I love doing like a body weight RDL with a front kick, like alternating your kicks. There are honestly so many really great exercises. But for me, a really good HIIT workout would be a combination of plyometrics, so like jumping movements, and non-plyometric movements as well. Just like all the HIIT workouts in my guides, actually. There's some really good ones in there. This person's put emphasis/education on why extreme dieting doesn't work due to the starvation response. So what I think she's saying is there is definitely some science, and don't quote me on this because I'm not a scientist or a nutritionist or a dietitian, but there's definitely some science around the topic of if you go in with really, really low calories and try and stick to that, your body is going to think you're starving yourself, and then you are going to hold on to any calories you do eat basically as fat, because your body basically puts you into starvation mode. That's not something that I know huge amounts about, but the other thing to be really wary of is that if you are going to jump to trying to eat like a 1,200 calorie diet, your body's really quickly going to get used to eating 1,200 calories. You're going to stop losing fat, and then to carry on progressing, you're going to have to drop your calories further and further and further, and then before you know it, you're pretty much not eating anything. So yeah, that can also be really, really dangerous. But definitely go and read up on some articles by nutritionists, dietitians, and doctors and things on that. So the last question I'm going to answer is, once you're happier with weight, how to maintain for the long term instead of yo-yoing? So that's a really, really good question. This is something I'm actually still learning about myself. I think the main thing to remember is that this whole thing is meant to be like a lifestyle shift. You're meant to be really, really enjoying the process. So just try and see this as your new way of life. Obviously, I'm not saying you need to stick to your like fat loss calories forever. You can be more relaxed with yourself. But I think one of the main causes of yo-yo dieting is when you feel like you're being really, really restricted and your diet's really unsustainable. Then you kind of flip the other way. You've suddenly got your freedom, and then you basically just go straight back to where you were before and undo all of your progress. So I think one of the main ways of avoiding it and maintaining the body that you've got after losing fat is just making sure that you're actually losing fat in the most sustainable way possible, and a way that you've actually enjoyed, because you'll just be able to kind of stick to that lifestyle. So I just saw one more question that's actually come up quite a lot, which is how can I lose fat on my belly? So this is going to be the last question. You can't spot reduce fat, so you can't decide where you want to lose fat, and there aren't specific exercises, contrary to what a lot of people put out on the internet. They're not specific exercises that are going to really help you to lose fat in that area. So doing abs exercises or core exercises are not going to help you to lose belly fat. They do have lots of other benefits like strengthening your core, and you can build up more muscle in that area, but they aren't going to help you to lose your belly fat. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, our genetics play a really big role in where we store fat. I store a lot of my fat on my lower body. I used to be really self-conscious of it. I used to have like a very skinny upper body and a much larger lower body, and I used to really, really hate it. But I think as I've got older, I've just tried to learn to focus on things that I do really like about my body, and everybody has insecurities. Your insecurity may be the fact that you hold more fat on your belly, but someone else's might be their arm. We're all in this together. Even the people you idolize and you think are absolutely perfect will have their insecurities. So yeah, you aren't alone, but try not to focus on that area because a lot of it is down to genetics. Also, if you are someone who stores a lot of your fat over your stomach area, you could actually need to be at a really dangerous level of body fat to be able to kind of see your abs through that area. So please, please try not to focus on it too much. Everybody has things that they don't like about their body. Right, so I think we'll leave the video here, but do let me know in the comments or in my DMs or anything if there are more things that you would like me to kind of chat about. I would love to hear from you guys, and let me know what you thought of the video as well. It's a bit of a weird one for me because it feels very like I don't know. I don't always love speaking about fat loss because I'm very much the mindset of like, you just want to be healthy, and I think we should love our bodies for how they are and not always strive to be different. But the reality is that a lot of us do want to go on a fat loss journey, and I think it's kind of silly to ignore that. This video isn't me saying like this is what you should be doing, but I do just want to help those of you out who are looking to kind of go on this journey. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and subscribe if you do want to stick around. I've loved filming this one for you, and I'll see you in my next video.